Montessori saw these stages of development as planes, periods of time when the development of the child takes off like a rocket, and then there's a period of time when there's kind of a calming and elaboration. So these pretty much go in 6-year intervals. So the first 3 years are very dynamic. Then 3 to 6 is a little more peaceful. The child kind of elaborates what he's been constructing. Then from 6 to 9, he's taking off again. 9 to 12, a little more calm. Then comes adolescence, the tumultuous time. 13, 14, 15, then calming down a little bit, going through high school, and then again starting a new young adulthood. So there are very specific periods of time that we're going to be looking at, and each one, they're like Montessori said, it's like a metamorphosis.
A butterfly.
Yeah, each one of these stages has its own developmental goals, its own unique characteristics, and its own sensitive periods. And so to overall get a sense of this, I love what Montessori said. Successive levels of education must correspond to the successive personalities of the child. And that personality does truly change.
So the child is really constructing himself or herself, is he not?
That's absolutely the case. You know, it was very interesting to the Russians to hear that Montessori was a constructivist, because among the great lights of Russian education is Lev Vygotsky, who, you know, kind of was one of the early founders of the constructivist movement, and they saw immediately that there were many, many parallels. So I want to share this chart now that Elizabeth Kaspari took Montessori's training in India in 1943. Montessori lived till 52, so as Tani said, this was kind of a late, one of her later trainings. This chart Montessori drew on a chalkboard in a palm-thatched hut where the training was being given in India, and she gave permission for Madame Kaspari and her husband Charles to make a copy of this chart. And as Tani mentioned, it is not available in any book. We've never seen it in any book. But this is one of the ways Montessori conceived of these stages. And I want to spend a little time kind of going over this chart. You know, adults look at a child very frequently as an empty vessel to be filled with their wisdom and their. And it's as though the child grows through the efforts of the adult, but Montessori said, no, that's not at all the case. The child grows through an inner impulse, and our job is to prepare an environment, create the space for the child to develop his own unique pathway of learning. And we often feel that we're involved in self-sacrifice to give to the child and do for the child. But what Montessori says is when we do too much for the child, we're unconsciously suppressing and repressing his own energies. So the child's personality is so crucial, and we know that every child is different. We know that. They look different, they act different. Well, their inner trajectory of development is different too, and Montessori is a broad system that enables us to actually very easily meet the individualized needs of children.
And there's still some predictability when you look at this stages of development chart, because you can see even though each child is unique and their cycles of development may be slightly different, they're still very predictable in terms of the fact that they are going to go through these things.
That's precisely so.
And it also makes me just really ponder, you know, gosh, we have to, it kind of really demands that we take a look at our traditional educational systems, because they really are working against this. When you really get inside this understanding, it's just the opposite. You know, you open the top of the head and you pour in the facts and the figures, and you close it up and they're done for the day, you know. And it's just so counter to the understanding of Montessori.
Well, after all her years of experience in Montessori, Elizabeth Kaspari put it this way. She said, education is never a pouring in. It is a release from within. And that takes a little thought. What does she mean by that? What did Montessori mean of this inner teacher?
I know.
This child has this power to unfold his own self.
You know, I thought about this so often, this concept of that which is innate in the child. There's something in there that's quite mysterious. It's hard to define, and yet it's something we have to respect because we know it will unfold in the proper environment. But there's these innate qualities that is already within there that we really do have to be sensitive to, knowledgeable about what is going to be happening and how to enhance that.
Well, you look at a plant, you
Right.
put a seed in the ground and
Right.
it grows. You don't have to direct it to unfold. Well, I want you to be a rose, even though it's a daisy seed. Ultimately, the pattern is there, and the pattern of each child is there within them.
Yeah.
And when we create an environment, it's like the soil, the water, the sunshine, the care, the weeding.
All
If
the
we do
elements are
those
present.
things,
Yes.
then the child can show us who he is. And so let's just take a look at this chart before we go on to our other slides. We see this first 6 years of life. The child starts, it's like the keyhole of opportunity when the child prenatally is conceived and is born. And his first quality is the absorbent mind. His mind is like a sponge, and his task during those first 6 years is the construction of individuality. And this absorbent mind works in two ways. In the first 3 years of life, it's very unconscious. A child does not pick and choose what he's going to absorb from his environment. He absorbs it all. And that includes the discord of parents. It includes the TV. It includes the music. It includes the colors in the environment. It includes whether there's something to handle and play with and work with or not. The child indiscriminately, unconsciously absorbs it all. Then from 3 to 6, the child still has that absorbent mind, but he's more deliberate in what he chooses to focus his attention on. And it's so interesting because those choices are not mechanical. You have an
Right.
identical, beautiful environment for children, a group of 25 children, and they'll all pick different things on different days. And that's the beauty of Montessori. It's all there, but we don't force any child to, you have to do this, this, and then this. It's available. Right. It's available for the match between the inner potential and this outer activity.